Awesome. Thank you, Zux. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, guys. Yes, so I'm from Africa Drone Kings, as Zukile has said, and so we're actually in the store, so it's quite hectic. We have an open plan here, so as I'm speaking, I've got the other guys running around and they're answering phone calls as well. But yes, we've been in the drone business since actually 2014, and I think about 3 years ago, 2018, we decided actually to take the Africa Drone Kings route, where we sell drones. We have a retail store. We sell drones also online as well, and yeah. So sorry, I almost shared the future plans, but yes, this is where we are. Our reputation on the market precedes us. We're one of the first players that started before the regulations actually even came on the block. And now we are at the stage where the regulations are out and they are being revised and. So yeah, we're happy to be here. Thank you, Zux. Over to you.
Thank you, Vice. Mr. Sean, maybe you can give us a brief background on your history in the drone market and what you guys at Nafasi are doing currently.
Okay. How's it? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Am I audible? All right, awesome. How's it, guys? Thank you for making time. Seems like we're all missing lunch today. My name is Shom Caesar. I'm one of the directors and founders of Nafasi Angane. Company was founded in 2018, and this was on the backdrop of, if I could call it, the drone boom. My business partner and I had been flying model planes, and we dabbled into the drone industry very, very early. And we decided that, let's put our competencies where our mouth is. And we decided to start. Thought that we do everything. We got humbled by the process. Decided that we're going to focus on the built environment. And then from there on, we have strategic partners, professionals that we work with, a couple of minds. But more than anything, we are putting the joysticks down and we are more focusing on managing data and training and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. We also have Dave actually from Dahua Technologies. He's one of the players in the manufacturing space of drones in the whole sub-Saharan region. So maybe Dave, you can give us a brief a view of what you've been busy with over the years and just give us some insight on your space.
Sure, give me a second. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. So
I think your line might be
technology.
Okay, we hear you now. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I represent a company called a global leading artificial intelligence
Hi, Dave. Maybe try remove your camera. I think your network is getting clogged by the video. Hi, Dave. Okay, it seems like we lost Dave for a second there. Okay, my name is Zukin Kalali. We run a company called Notam. Our main area is just on the data processing and data analytics part, combining all the data collected by a drone and using advanced AI for infrastructure issue detection, geospatial analysis, counting how many structures in the region, how many trees in the region, and all the autonomous work that was previously done manually. We are trying to automate that using machine learning. We've been in the space as well for some some time. Just like Mr. Caesar here, we've started with operating drone, and just the regulatory process is just so long that we opted to diversify more into the AI and software technology, and just to provide a different vertical for the company and just the industry as a whole. So I think I'll start with Mr. Vice. From your background, I think what we want to just understand is what's happening in the drone industry. We read all the time on drones are being the next, having the next frontier, but we don't actually see them as often. We don't actually hear what are the nitty-gritties that takes to actually run a drone company. I don't know, actually, is this industry growing or is it actually shrinking? So maybe from your end, are we seeing more people buying more drones? Are we seeing more repairs coming in? Like, are we seeing people just buying drones for hobby, not necessarily on the enterprise end? Maybe you can give us a light on what are people actually buying drones for, and is there a change, or is there growth in that space?
Yes, thanks again. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just address this as more like a discussion, right? Yeah, to be honest, it has been an interesting journey. Just looking at from when they started, everyone was like looking at drones like as toys. I think 2014, 2015, I think 2016. That's when everyone was like, "What's this?" Well, it's quite interesting, and from 2016, I've seen a lot of people actually buying drones as like the hobby drones, but using them for professional work. But just over the years now, looking from where the drones started from, I think slowly what we're seeing, what's really happening is drones are becoming more like tools. They're becoming more like meaningful. They're becoming solutions. People always are looking at drones like, how can they solve problems in different sectors? You could look at, I think recently we had one of the firefighting company that actually, well, it happened by coincidence that they had one of their drones in here for repairs. But they said, guys, we can't really actually stop using drones. Can we borrow a drone? And we borrowed we gave them one of our drone to go and use it. So in the UCT fire, they were actually using one of the mini drones just to help evacuate people from the building. So they said, dude, you have no idea how many lives this drone has saved. They said, actually, it was a Mavic Mini, but they said if it wasn't for this Mavic Mini drone, I don't know what could have happened, because not all the firefighting department has the budget as of yet, or not all the fire departments has yet justified spending huge amounts of money, so they still use like these smaller ones. So with that being said, like drones actually getting into being used to solve problems. You could look at it in a sense that every industry is getting to the point that the drones are going to become like an everyday tool that they're going to use. Think of it in a sense of construction. They actually need to use drones to be actually tracking their progress using drones and using softwares like Notam. And if we look at it into a sense of agriculture, we have drones that are being used for spraying crops, or for mapping, or for actually picking up if the crops are ready to be harvested, or if there's actually like some pesticide that needs to be sprayed. I'm just touching different like industry. If you just think of any industry, if it could be like a gas station, we've seen a huge need where now they need to use like LiDAR cameras in order to do inspections and collect data for maintenance. You could look at it from the sense of insurance companies. they're actually coming on using drones to actually assess the risk. Let's say there's a building that also has got like some gas pipes. The only way they could actually assess the risk and do real maintenance is them actually using drones to assess that type of risk. So yeah, we've seen, especially in South Africa, to be honest, it's very slow as comparing the data from the States or comparing with Asia or Europe. With the data being that was collected like DJI, Africa as a whole, it contributes like less than 5% to their overall collected worldwide sales. So as the industry has been growing, but it still makes it very challenging and very, very hard for even overseas distributors or companies to actually give some respect to our territory, which is South Africa. But to be honest, that's us now comparing it from the global point of view. But if we are to look at the progress that South Africa has made, and actually in a technological space, we're not really the fastest when it comes to adopting this new technology. But we've been making, if you look at in a percentage wise, the progress that the industry and the market has been making, I think it's amazing. I think it could be better with the regulations, but I think it's getting somewhere. And you can see how many companies now they're actually in the drone space. I think if you even check like on CIPC, just search like the word drone, you would see that there's more than 100 to 150 companies, or let's actually say 200 companies that are registered for just under the word drone. So it just gives you a different perspective of what's actually really happening on the market. Yeah. Maybe the other thing I could touch base as well would be the regulations. Yeah, we've seen, I think since the regulations have been put in play, we've been seeing a lot of changes. Even if you check, I think the CA regulations, how they were like 2-3 years ago, you see they've done some updates there. And also considering there's a lot of boards that are available on the market. I think we're going somewhere. I think the agenda is to regulate the industry. At some time, it was very, very hard to get an ROC, but now you could see that there's the rate of people getting ROCs is getting better, which makes it very easy for actually people to do business in South Africa, which actually means that people now can buy more drones so they can be able to use them in their different sectors. But I think just to foresee like what's going to happen maybe in the next year or 2 or 3, I think we're getting to the point whereby everyone, in order for them to buy a drone that has got a certain weight going above, they either have to buy that drone under an RPO or a license. But I think that's where we're going. I know a lot of drone boards have been discussing this as well to say, hey, I think this is the direction. So I think within the next 6 months to like 2 years or something, we're going to see these new regulations being put in play, which I'm not really sure how they will impact the industry, the market, but I think they will be better to regulate this. So I think this will help, especially for small business, to have some directions and to have some strong support. You'd understand if a company has an ROC, they've spent so much money, they've got RPOs, and them trying to compete with someone who doesn't have an ROC and they're using like a Mavic Mini. I think this will make the market to start having, it'll start formulating and start to take like a shape. Think of it as an example of maybe, let's say the bank industry. You can see there's like regulations and no one just enters into that industry and then tomorrow they have a bank set up on the corner. So I think that will have a very a positive impact on our industry or on, let's say on our territory in South Africa. So yeah, I think maybe Zooks, is there anything maybe I didn't cover up that you want me maybe to share with the guys?
I think you've covered most of it. I think you gave us the view on just what the future holds for the drone industry. So maybe last part of it, just to touch up on if anyone is looking to buy a drone for specific jobs, specific work, what kind of drones would you prescribe for a small startup to a medium-sized business looking to acquire a drone for either one-off project or just an ongoing mining operation?
Okay, cool. To be honest, there's a lot of solutions that are getting there, and just a brief on how the industry is kind of categorized. you have drones that fall under consumer, then you have drones that fall under enterprise. Now, a lot of people would ask, like, why is it falling under enterprise, not instead of industries? The reason why it's falling under enterprise is that you can customize your drone yourself, in a sense, depending what problems are you trying to solve and in which industry. So, for example, I would pick up maybe like a Matrice 200. It's one of the popular drones that's out there. You could just get like a Matrice 200 drone, and with that one drone, you would be able to, and you guys can see me, with that drone, you'll be able to buy different payloads. You would maybe get, let's say, a Z30, a camera that zooms in 30 times. That will allow you to do work in that space. And then you'll be able to plug in a camera that's a, let's say, XT2. That's a thermal camera that will allow you to do inspections in that space. But to answer the question that Zooks asked, to say, how can we help a small company that's starting? If it comes to, let's say, maybe if you're in security, we would recommend there's one called the DJI Mavic 2 Duo Advanced. It's a new drone. They just released it within the last 6 months. Maybe I'll share the link. Let me actually share the link on the chat here, so you guys can just have a look how it looks like. Okay, give me a second. I think just to get something to be a bit visual there. Okay. All right, while my page is coming up, you will notice that the specs of it's a very small drone. It's one of the affordable drones that actually can allow you to do like to use it for security, because it has a normal camera and it has a thermal camera. And for the first time now, the camera quality of the thermal camera is way much better compared to the first version that we had. Okay, give me a second. Let me just have this populated so I can share the link so I can continue with this first recommendation that we have here. There we go, got it. Okay, there we go, and the link is shared. Okay, so you can see that from our website there. That's your Mavic 2 Duo Advanced. That drone, it's compact, it's small. However, it has the promotion that we're running right now comes with the RTK, which is the real-time kinetics. So compared to actually how much drones, what they were costing, like the Matrice 300, just in order for you to start or to solve a problem, let's say maybe in the construction industry, you're looking at about 300,000 to 400,000 just for a good start. So now having a drone like a Mavic 2 Duo Advanced going for, it's on special right now from, I think it's 93 to about 82,000. And we're giving a promotion of the RTK module, which normally costs roughly about 10,000. So having that type of drone, being able to compete actually with the big drones like Matrice 300, it will be a very good way to start. But if you're not in that industry where you need a thermal camera, you could look at something that's very stable, a well-known model. It's called a Phantom 4 Prodrone. That normally goes for around 35,000. And that's way much better. I know Notam uses a couple of those as well. It's very stable in the air. It's robust. And you get after-sales support also from us, and parts are also very easy to find, and it's cost-effective to fix compared to if you crash like a Matrice 300. Yeah, I think that'll be a second recommendation. If you still maybe want something that's compact as well, you could maybe look at, I know the Mavic Air 2 is now listed on the CAA. Again, this makes it very easy to register to have your drone maybe on board on your ROC. It's very important to buy drones that are already been pre-approved with CAA. Okay, this meeting has been upgraded. Okay, thank you, Zooks. Okay, let me send you also maybe a link so we can maybe practicalize this meeting a bit so you guys could see how these drones looks like, or what it does, or what would be a recommendation from us as your drone advisor. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll share that as well. So that's the Mavic Air 2. So everyone can have a look at that as well. I think that's gonna go on special from 23,000 to about 19,000 on Monday. But you guys can pre-order that as well if you need. Let me get you the Phantom 4 Pro so you guys can have a look at how the Phantom 4 Pro drone looks like. Okay, perfect. And there's the last one. So I normally like recommending about 3 models. But again, if anyone has got any questions, you would like to say, you know what, my problems are different. The problems I'm trying to solve in my industry, they're different from, I don't see like how I can have this drone solve these problems. Then you're more than welcome to get in touch, and then I would recommend to say, okay, maybe for agriculture, you need something that has got multispectral sensors, something that gives you NDVIs or something like that, yeah. Yeah, Zooks, I don't want to take much time. I can do this all day.
Thank you, Mr. Vice. I think we can move over to Mr. Sean Caesar. I think from your journey operating drones, operating in mines, we know the extensive regulation, just not on the CAA part, but just how you can safely operate in a mine, how you can safely operate in the built environment. Maybe you can give us some feedback as to, is the market shifting in those areas, the built environment, the mining environment, and just how difficult is it just to start up, or how easy is it just to start up in the mining industry or the built environment industry? And what would someone that wants to probably focus purely on the mining industry, what do they have to do? Or if they want to focus purely on the built environment, what do they have to do to actually upstart and actually service potential clients that they have?
Okay, I see I'm unmuted again. Okay, cool. I'm saying that I think the biggest thing is that this is not easy, right? It's very, very difficult to be competitive in those markets, right? Because the main thing is that you want consistency, you want consistent clients. So for you to find yourself starting up and trying to compete, you know, within those circles is very difficult, because the mining sector has a lot to do with reputation as well. You know, the construction industry, you know, they have their own teams in order to reach economies of scale. So it's really about finding creative ways to find yourself at discussion tables, you know, creative ways to find yourself explaining how you fit into the entire workflow. You know, because more than anything, what the drone industry is doing at the moment is it's shortening, it's speeding up, it's quickening, it's giving new perspectives, you know, and more than anything, we are having to find, you know, the gaps, you know, where we can bring the most value. So I think for a startup, you know, it's the first thing would be to partner up with an ROC, right? Because there's no way a startup is going to be able to afford, you know, the registration and the upkeep, you know, because the upkeep is also just as important. You know, you can't have an ROC, you can't maintain it, you know, it's also an issue. Because I think because of COVID, we've probably lost maybe 15, 16 ROCs from last year, you know, so it just shows that the legislation may have been adjusted or may have been easier, you know, in order to get more ROC holders on the table. But it becomes a different story when an ROC with 2 crafts, i.e., let's say a Phantom or a Mavic, is trying to compete with an ROC that has a fleet, you know. So it becomes very tricky, and it really is a marathon more than it is a sprint, because if you find yourself giving up after the first no, if you find yourself giving up after, you know, the first tender, you know, or whatever the case may be, you know, you kind of won't make it, because you kind of have to evolve with the industry. You know, in my intro, I started by saying that we wanted to do everything. We wanted to do photography, we wanted to do videography, we wanted to do security, farming, this. And within that process, it's not that we were incapable, but within that process, you realize that you have to specialize. You have to be an expert at something, you know, because you're going to be at the table with experts. And just because you're bringing this piece of technology, it does not necessarily mean that you totally understand what their problems are. Because another thing that you have to consider as a young startup is that you're going to be competing with an old way of doing things and people who have been custodians of protecting those old ways. So all of these faculties, for in the built environment, particularly in the sector where we're in. Built environment has engineering, it has land surveying, it has quantity surveying, it has construction management, it has civil engineering, it has electrical. So you kind of have to find yourself appeasing all of those professionals if you want to work with them. You need to understand their workflow. You need to understand their specifications, because more than anything, you need to come there to improve. It's not really about saying, hey, just add this new toy to your workflow or to your assets. It doesn't really mean anything if the main objective is to deliver quicker and cheaper. So I think for a startup, the best thing is to familiarize yourself with the ROCs that are in line with what it is that you want to do, because an ROC comes with a couple of G codes. So these G codes then allow you to operate in various sectors. So the first thing, familiarize yourself with the ROCs that are available as a startup. Find the ones that are suitable to the work that you want to do, and that would mean that either they should have the crafts, as Vice was saying, some drones are specific to certain situations. So another thing would be you would have to get your own drone and then onboard it onto their ROC, and you have to then play by their rules, So it really does take a lot of time, and really requires you to humble yourself to the process, humble yourself to the trajectory of the industry, because some industries are catching on quicker than others, i.e. most of our clients are surveyors, either mining or land. The quantity surveyors are not catching on quick enough. The civil engineers are not catching on quick enough. So it really has to do with you making time to understand, who the client is, humanize your client, and that way you can find yourself having the right conversations at the right time and not wasting time. So yeah, I think more than anything, it really, the first thing you have to do is kind of understand that you're going to be here a while before you succeed.
Thank you, Mr. Sean. I think I'll probably add on to what Sean is saying, because what we've seen, we did similar to what Sean does in terms of providing drone services and then processing that data and presenting, almost trying to do everything on the conveyor belt. But what we've seen is that there is a need for more end of the line of the conveyor belt, where it's not just about flying the drone. It's not really just about the images or the videos that you get, but it's all about what the output will look like. Can you provide distinct analysis of how a bridge is degrading? Can you provide if the roof has certain defects that need to be fixed on hand? So what we have seen is that there is a need for that, but we are seeing also a almost slow adoption that from the construction end, whether it's small construction, even the big construction guys, we see really slow uptake in terms of the drone adoption. Even on the property managers, property owners, there's a slower uptake as we would have seen in other regions, where the main tool to actually do property inspection now is just the drone, and using some AI software just to do that automated detection. And then going forward, you are then able to then present a proper report to your stakeholders. But in South Africa, we still see people getting on roofs, doing the whole manual process, still applying scaffolding, where still going through the scaffolding process, where they actually takes way longer. But for some reason, what we see is that the adoption is actually way slower, just like Vice said, than what we envisioned to be. So maybe I'll pose questions to probably both Vice and Sean, as to say what needs to be done from the guys that are already providing the service, providing the drones, providing the service, providing the software. What needs to be done on our end for the growth of this industry, and how can small players actually compete with these big distributors, whether the drone distributors or the big guys like UDS, Rocket Mine? What needs to be done to provide the growth in the market, and B, how do we compete in this area where the big guys that have the reputation already are actually probably taking up most of the work?
Vice, you want to jump in, or should I take this one first?
You can take this one. I'll go after you.
All right, no problem. So I think more than anything, it's about finding your place between the cracks, right? So the big players are the bigger bricks, right? They are the bricks that actually make the building, right? And we forget that for the bricks to get to site, for the bricks to stay together, there's cement, there's trucks, there's an entire ecosystem. So if you want to try and play with the big guys and operate at their level, you're going to suffocate, unfortunately, right? So it's better to be more agile, right? And to find yourself in a niche and make sure that if you have the skills, they can't operate without you. If you have the skill set, they can't, or rather you offer a service that adds value to the services that they're adding. Because it's important to understand that once you're in the industry, you really do have an upper hand on a lot of other people who aren't. So you're in a better position to actually offer a specific service quick enough, or produce a particular solution to a problem quicker than someone who's on the outside. Because right now the industry is so young that if we look at it as a shopping center, it does not have escalators yet. It does not have elevators yet. It does not have paid parking. So it is really up to us to create all of those things, because if we go back to the shopping center, every shopping center, if you get to a shopping center and there was no parking, you leave, right? But so we take for granted how important the parking lot is to the establishment. So what I'm trying to say though is that if you are a player in the industry, you need to find your place. You need to find your way of humanizing your client, humanizing where your profit is coming from, and making sure that you become good at that. Because if we look at BMW, they make the cars, but they don't make the tires. They don't necessarily make every single component from the BMW factory, but the final package is a BMW car. So it's very important that if you are in the industry and you find that you are drowning, or you find that you cannot compete, that you rather pivot in such a way that you remain relevant. And I think in that way, you don't walk away bitter, and you don't find yourself blaming other people, because I think what we're doing here is that first step, to kind of, so where do we fit within the pie? Because a lot of startups from 3-4 years ago, if you're still in existence, we're at mid-level. There are startups that came about last year. There are startups that came about this year. So they're looking down this tunnel with wide-eyed and with optimism, and we're in the middle, ready to be cynical or to quit. But we also just have that responsibility to kind of keep pushing, because if everyone kind of falls off, there's no one to look up to. There's no one to kind of emulate, because these big guys, they may have the resources, but they require the industry to exist in order for them to become competitive. For example, I mean, with what Vice is doing, he's not just selling to the big guys. He's selling to guys who are just discovering drones, guys who are, guys who have small companies are just incorporating drones into their operations. So there is every single level that can possibly exist. And I think that everyone has a place, and the pie is big enough for everyone. It's just really a matter of making sure that you adapt quick enough and you don't see yourself as replaceable. So I think that really is kind of the only thing that'll help you survive, I think.
Oh, nice, Sean. Thank you. Thank you. That's actually some powerful stuff that you said there. Yeah. Just to add to what Sean said and to also answer the question that Zooks. So let me have my video open there. To be honest, in every industry is hard. However, I think it's about the mindset, what type of mindset that you have that will make you survive. I like what Sean said and what Zook said, partnerships. The only way you're going to survive as a young business is to partner, or is to do partnerships. It's a long road. It's not something that you're going to be able to do it alone and just say, you know what, I got this. Partnerships is the only way that that will make you survive. And in terms of actually just looking at the competition, you're trying to compete with big companies like UDS and stuff. From our strategy, like what Sean also said, when we started, we wanted to do everything. We were everywhere. However, as the reality strikes, you start to say, okay, guys, among everything we've been trying to do for 2, 3 months, 6 months, what's been working? Let's laser focus that, and that you specialize in that. So when it comes to competing with these big guys, just to share something that has worked with us, we don't like competing. As from I think the book 0 to 1, it says competition is for losers. Seek ways how to dominate, and the only way you're going to dominate is when you specialize. When you specialize in find out what's working and specialize in that, and become very good at that. That even bigger companies, they will come to you as a small company to do business with you. Like I'll give an example. One of our strengths is our product knowledge. We can have all these other competition that can come up, but no one beats our expertise when it comes to drones. Hence, we've got like even big government companies like all over Africa. They're coming to us. They said, if you want to know anything about drones, go to Africa Drone Kings, because those guys, they know their story like back to back. I think that's one of the advice I'd give. Don't get caught up in the competition. Find ways how to dominate. And one of our strategies that we preach on a daily basis is if you're going to survive trying to compete with these big guys, relationships, they are going to matter. Build relationships with your clients. If it's visiting your clients, if it's like Western Cape, if it's Cape, if it's Durban here, find ways how to build those relationships, because everything depends on it. If people are going to choose between doing business with you compared to UDS, you got to have something that's very unique. You got to have something that's that you're offering that's better. People want to know that if I'm stuck, I can call Zukilo. He's on speed dial and he's available. I can get hold of him. Like for example, Zukilo will know that if their drones crash right now, they know that Africa Drone Kings will sort us out. They will make a plan. They will get us in the air with no time. Yeah. What else do I have? I just made some 2 or 3 notes. And just to mention another point there, I know sometimes people think, oh, like UDS and UDH has taken the whole market, and yes, they are the big players. In every industry, there will be big players, there will be small players. But I think it would depend. It would depend on what game are you playing. If you're playing short term, you might look at this from a scarcity mindset. But you have to look at this from an abundance mentality mindset, to say the industry is so big and it's too young. We have the whole firefighting department is not yet tapped in. There isn't that much companies that are really actually helping in that industry. Just think of it when cars started. When the car started, they were just cars for carrying people from point A to B. But in this time that we have, there's many categories. There's sports cars, there's 4x4 cars, there's trucks, there's cars for firefighting, there's cars for carrying patients. So you just have to find your niche. Even until today, I mean, we've got Elon Musk, he's doing the impossible. Why? Because he found his niche. There will always be a market. If it's after 20 years, after 30 years, there will always be a market. You just need to find yours, find what you can concentrate on as a small business to survive and actually to make it in this industry, actually. Yeah, thank you. Zooks, over to you.
Thank you, Vice. I think we probably have got 15 minutes left. I can open up the floor for anyone who's got extra comments, questions. Just put your hand up and I'll unmute, or you can unmute yourself. Maybe we can get the last set of discussion just around if there are any major questions that you have or any insight that you might have. I think we've got about 15 people now. If you have any insight, maybe we can share it in this last 15 minutes.
Is Dave's connection still broken? I was interested to hear what he had to say.
I've got Biggie here. I'll just ask him to unmute and then we'll head over to Dave. Hi, Biggie. I'm not sure if that's the right name, but I'll use Biggie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, my name is Bigani. I'm actually based in Gaborone, Botswana. Okay, my question will be on the training part. Where can one, for startups, where can one actually get training courses and even the use of softwares, especially open source softwares that one can use in terms of, or in actually various industries.
Okay.
I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, no, you are clear. In terms of the training, there's a lot of training companies. That's something we can actually share with yourself now. I'll just send that that directly to you. There's about 5 different players now, and I think through our knowledge, we're able to then say which one is better at which area, and then what, in terms of cost-wise, do you actually get benefit for what you're learning there. And because in terms of the training part, it's just not enough just to say you've got an RPL and I'm just gonna go get an RPL, pay 30,000, and then from there on I can just fly. There's actually more to it than just getting an RPL. It takes understanding how to operate in construction industry. It takes understanding how to operate in the mining sector. It takes to understand how you actually can take certain video shots for different views. So that's something we can definitely share with you now. I'll just send you a note now. Maybe just drop me your email, then we'll share with you all the schools that are available in South Africa and just what the benefits and the disadvantages that we've seen for that. And in terms of, I think the last part you said, any open source software. So I think understanding just what softwares are available. And first, there is an open source software called Open. I think Sean will help me out with that. It's Open Web, something of the sort. I'll get the correct name. But there's a lot of players in the market. For example, Sean and the guys do major of the processing at a faster speed using enterprise software that's available in the market. We are also a cloud software that does the processing for whether it's inspection or some maps. So there are a lot of players in that instance, but I think even in that area, it really takes the understanding of what are you trying to accomplish with your processing, right? Is it just understanding from the RPL training part to understand what overlapping you'll need, maybe Vice can come and say what actual drone you'll need to perform the most accurate survey, and then what software then will bring all these together to give you something valuable to your client. Open software is good, but it doesn't trump enterprise industry certified software. So most clients will really want more accurate and more precise data, which open source does not really produce that. So I'll also give you a list of the available softwares out there, and then all those pros and cons as well, as to say, well, we've tried out, for example, we've tried out drone deploy, and our major issue was this. We've tried, and then Sean can and say, maybe Sean, you can also jump on and just give some insight, especially on processing end where it's probably the most crucial part after flying the drone?
Yeah, how's it, Biggie? So I think firstly, I'd want to ask you what you mean by open source software, because I think, as Zuki was saying just now, it depends on your outcome. So we manage a lot of our clients' processing, and we use various software packages depending on the speed, depending on the accuracy, depending on whatever systems or metadata they want included into the final outcome. So more than anything, the advantage that is out there instead of open source software, Zuki was saying is correct, that the more enterprise stuff will really be more beneficial, because even when you're practicing with those types of packages, you actually get the closest feel to industry standards, right? So if you're going to use open source software, there's one called, I think, Cloud Compare, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cloud Compare. So Cloud Compare, we use that for a lot of our LiDAR, point cloud cleaning, and all of that stuff. And in some cases, it may not be safe. You'd find that maybe there's viruses or there's updates or whatever the case may be, and you can't really verify certain things. So the more enterprise stuff is much better, because you can back it against a lot of things. So for example, if you're going to be calculating contours, for example, if you're going to give that to a surveyor, there's certain enterprise software that can give you that guarantee that this is accurate to 1, 2, 3, or this can work with different geodetic systems if it's going to be surveying or mapping or whatever the case may be. In some instances, some software is better for modeling, some software is better for agriculture. So I think it's also important to kind of narrow down what it is you mean by open source. But as Zuki was saying, it really is better to go for the stuff that is backed, because you don't want to give data to a mine month end for a stockpile, and then you find that your margin of error is 10-15%, because that amounts to millions. So open source is good to dabble and play around, but if you really want to play around in the professional space, familiarizing yourself with what's available is actually much better. Than it'll do you good, rather. I don't know if I left something out, Zook.
Thanks, Sean. Does anyone have any other questions or comment? Dave, did your network get sorted? Okay, I think Dave is not. Okay.
Isaac, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, man. I'm having an issue here. I can't hear you guys. I heard Vice, and then after that it just went dead. I'm gonna try and quickly dial out and dial back in.
Okay then. So maybe if anyone else has a question, comment, what we can, from the experience of the drone technology, do they have any experience, what they found, ease of use, difficult to actually enter the market? Maybe you can just raise your hand and I will unmute you and then we can have a discussion. Hi, Biggie.
Yes, okay. I think the last one will be to maybe which platform can you use as a group? Maybe the 15 of us here, because by the way of seeing is actually we can actually help each other. We have guys who are really experienced, who have been in this for long, and we also have startups. So I'm actually suggesting maybe we could actually have a platform where you could actually interact regularly, so that your experienced guys can actually help the startups. That's my suggestion anyway.
Okay, cool. I think we can find a workable solution, whether between LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, and any other platform. I think what we can do is anyone that is interested can just drop their emails, and then we'll find the most suitable and most suitable avenue to actually create that group. I don't think it will be an issue, because ideally our main aim is to actually grow the industry, just get more people involved in the industry and actually have these discussions more often, in order to actually get other guys to benefit from we have learned, and also benefit from whether new startups or even the guys that have been in the industry longer than us. Hi Dave, I think that's you. Hi Dave.
Ezekiel, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what's the issue. Could be connectivity. I couldn't hear you guys for quite a bit. So I'm not sure how we are for time. I'm going to get started though. You want to just give me a heads up?
We still have about 3 minutes or so we can, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I actually prepared something that I wanted to share with you guys. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can. Just send the request. I'll just enable that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Should have access.
All right. Okay. We obviously can't go through everything in detail, so I'm just going to quickly skim through it. Can you see me? Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Working, Z? Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, thank you again. Enjoyed the conversation thus far. I think the gentlemen have raised some interesting points and insights into the different industries and breaking into it, etc. So once again, I wanted to reiterate that Dawah Technology is a manufacturer of these products, drone products as well as payloads. And something that Zakila and I were chatting about was our strength in video. So being a video surveillance business, we have some really impressive payloads that have real good use case scenarios for specific vertical markets, like we mentioned, mining, agriculture, public safety, security, policing, that kind of a thing. So without going into too much of detail, I want to just quickly skim through. The company as a whole been established since 2016. Our drone division has probably been around for, I think, the past 6 years. We've got dedicated 100 engineers and more at our HQ who constantly work on research and development. So in our video surveillance side, we've got about 20,000 guys that work on research and development constantly. We've got 15 industry use cases in terms of different applications. And yeah, so this was just a bit of an introduction into drone technology, but I think we all are drone professionals here who has a fairly good understanding. I will share this for anyone as well who would like more information or to read up on this, and also able to take questions offline. If we look at public safety, for instance, these are some of the challenges. We look at traffic jams, danger in terror attacks, and not being able to get to certain areas as fast as you would like to. If we look at the energy vertical market, so as we know, there's been a lot of incidents, injuries, deaths, etc., from inspections, from sites, from places not being following the specific protocol in terms of their safety, health and safety requirements, and the occupational health and safety. So drones can also be utilized for that functionality of inspections and temperature readings on certain devices, pylons, etc., and equipment. If we look at agriculture, obviously that industry is vastly changing as well. So the old method of manual pesticide spraying, and it's not as effective as it used to be. Truck spraying as well, that tends to damage crops. So with new technology out there, a drone can complete this flight pattern for you and attach a crop spraying payload on there, and you're good to go. Okay, other areas that we talk about are like government buildings, airports, prisons, areas where drones obviously can't fly at. That's a specific use case scenario. So if it's a government oriented project, we're happy to engage and share insights from other regions where we've done these type of projects. Okay. All right, so this is a broad overview. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the DJI series of drones, so I'm not going to go into too much of detail. The functionality as such is pretty much very similar. We have a few different models that I'll basically speak about here. With regards to our products in terms of the drone range, we've got 9 patents on them, and there's a further 20 plus patents that have been filed for innovations within that space. So this is our X650. We're looking at a max flight time here of 25 minutes. Your payload here being 5 kg. The X820 flight time here of around 40 plus minus 40 minutes, and this can do a weight payload of around 10 kg. The X1100 around a 40 time flight time as well, with a bit of a heavier payload. So this device can do a 14 kg payload. And the X1550, which gives you around a 60-minute flight time and a 23 kg payload. The P1500, more on the agriculture application. So you can do about 25 kgs on the payload and 25 minutes without having a load and 12 minutes with having a load. Fixed wing. So we have done a project in Kenya last year using this type of aircraft. So it was a border patrol project. This is the V3300, getting you a flight time here of 180 minutes and max payload weight of 13 kgs. So this is the part that really excites me. The aircraft, obviously, pretty much standard tech that you guys would have seen with regards to the drone industry and the different products and brands on the market. They all have their slight variations, but where we really stand out as a tech company is these payloads. So if we look at, for instance, the 4K PTZ camera. So PTZ stands for pan, tilt, and zoom. So you can obviously maneuver the camera around at a full 360. 4K being your resolution. So this 30 times zoom and a really phenomenal HD quality image resolution. So as I mentioned previously, we have an extensive range of video surveillance products across many vertical markets like shopping centers, residential estates, mines, casinos, farming communities, all of those kind of use case scenarios, as well as hotels and large warehouses, logistic entities, etc. The next camera would be the 2 megapixel PTZ. So this gives you about a 40 time optical zoom And then the third one here being the thermal hybrid. So I think it was Vice was talking about thermal, and I mean, it's really exciting to see where that is going. And this is something that we're really extremely strong at, is the thermal imagery technology. So this specific camera has dual function. So it can do the pan, tilt, zoom, and it will also give you a thermal image, so you can identify heat signatures of animals or humans or vehicles for that matter. So it could be used for various different applications. And we've got the live throwing. So this is also for specific applications. It could be used for rescue application. It could be used for delivery. I know there's an interesting case study in Rwanda for the medical market where it's used for blood delivery for pregnant women in villages. Then we've got the live broadcasting. So this has audio, two-way audio, speaker, light, microphone. And then, of course, the gas detection. So this is a brilliant payload for the mining sector specifically with regards to in the shaft. As you know, as we reach certain depths of the shaft, for that matter, you come across different gases, which could be flammable and hazardous, etc. So with sending this in, it can identify over 47 different gases. So that's the application for that. Okay, then we've got the 4K AI camera. This is a phenomenal device. This has artificial intelligence built in the head end. So you can do things like facial recognition. It can pick up how many times has this particular face been onto a specific site. If you are working on a national operation, you can have a registered database of faces, be it employees, staff, or unauthorized personnel. And this can tie into your greater surveillance system. So if you've got a standard control room, let's call it for a mining house with multiple facilities across the country and across the continent, you can have a centralized system having your standard cameras monitoring your perimeter, your fixed cameras, as well as your drone serving as an additional channel to that. So when you're conducting searches, smart searches, etc., on movements of people or vehicles, you can then cross-reference your entire database. The laser PTZ, so this can obviously do much larger distances. Your laser can actually detect movement up to 600 meters. And then the 3-in-1, which does throwing, broadcasting, and zoom. And then a specific high-end thermal camera. So this gives you quite a large distance as well. And it also has algorithms in there that can identify whether the movement in the specific area is a human, animal, or a vehicle. Lastly is the enhanced hybrid thermal PTZ. So this specific payload has 2 cameras. So you've got your optical lens, which will give you a standard high resolution image, and then you've got your thermal body built into that, which will give you a thermal image. So you almost got 2 completely separate images that will be displayed, giving you a thermal image as well as an optical view. We've got a drone gun, anti-drone gun. So this is used to immobilize drones. Now this is also very, very, very specific to a industry. So for instance, airports, national key points, etc., where the only people be allowed to utilize technology like this. So this you just aim it at the drone and you sort of pull it down all the way to the ground and immobilize it. This is an overview architecture of the drone system. So you could have it work multiple ways. You could use an all-in-one remote control. You can use a ground station. As long as you've got access to the internet, then you can pretty much access this in your command center along with all your other tower camera technology products. This is an overview of our software platform. So as I mentioned, you could have multiple UAVs in the air, streaming, pulling images through, and you would also be able to view other static cameras in different locations. So yeah, that sort of sums up the different types of cameras, payloads, and the software. The rest of the slides just give you a bit of an example where the technology can be deployed. So this is zeroing in on the artificial intelligence camera. So this can pick up number plate. It's not just the functionality of being able to see a number plate. It's the ability to take those alphanumeric characters and cross-reference them against a database like a police database or a wanted suspect database. So if the drone is doing a patrol around the perimeter of a mine, for example, and there's an unidentified vehicle, and this vehicle could have been listed previously for any suspicious activity, or be it a copper plant and they were wanted for maybe cable theft, etc. It will then sound off an alert into the control room telling you that this vehicle has been wanted in various different investigations, or whatever information it may be privy to that security manager. And then we've got facial recognition, as I've explained. So yeah, this is really phenomenal technology. So we have a whole suite of temperature screening products, your walkthrough devices, thermal cameras, etc. For us, obviously being in the pandemic, this is something that's a huge demand, and these can work in tandem with those technologies. So this particular slide gives you an overview as to what the hybrid thermal payload looks like. So it gives you this image here, which is thermal imagery. So if you look closely, it gives you a number. So it can tell you that that particular component is exceeding a specific temperature. So if you have temperature that it shouldn't exceed, it will obviously trigger off an alarm to say that this is overheating, for instance. The second image at the bottom is your optical image. So you can always zoom into that, pan and tilt. As you can see, you can actually pick up on a serial number here how good the resolution is of these devices. So this is an overview of the agriculture solution. Sorry, I'm just trying to rush through here so that we have time for a couple of questions and for obviously Sukile to move on. Yeah, so this is number plate recognition. Our products have been through extensive testing. So we've got a massive facility that actually operates 24 hours, and that's, I think we've got over 50,000 employees in the factory. We manufacture like 4,000 different products, etc. IoT, robotics, and CCTV, and they all go through extensive testing. So temperature testing, vibration testing, and rain testing. Lastly, is some of our global case studies. So we look to grow this space in South Africa and surrounding countries as well. And I look to take hands with all of you present here today and, collaborate, work together. I enjoyed listening to the other two gentlemen speak as well. And I would like to, engage with you guys to see how we can work together. These are some of the projects that we've done globally. The 2018 Argentina G20 security project. So we use the X1550 there with the hybrid 4K camera payload. This was the project in Kenya. So we were doing a 30-kilometer border patrol project for the government. So this is the 2019 Cameroon World Cup. So here, the Save the Police, lots of money on manpower and helicopter costs. So this was used for patrols. This was a project in China. So this was a border line of 2,000 kilometers. And we used 6 of our X550s were deployed for this with the dual lens optical and thermal PTZ. Philippines, Colombia Safe City Project, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and City Traffic Project in China as well. So yeah, that's pretty much sums up what we do at our technology and my purpose for being here today. So thank you very much, Zukile. Are there any questions? Sean?
How's it, Dave? Thanks so much for the presentation. Just wanted to ask, so are your payloads, do your payloads only work with your crafts?
No, they don't. So we're very open to, you know, integration and stuff like that. So this is something that Zukile and I were chatting about the other day as well. We are, you know, open to working with other aircraft. So you can have that as a separate product, and we could look at integration, etc. So we do have quite a big team who can assist in seeing that through in terms of the research and development and integrations. So have you got something in mind specifically with current drones that you're using?
Yeah, it's just specifically the thermal camera that you were talking about, because I think more and more we're finding that the multi-rotors are they're not as efficient as we'd like them to be for the stockpiles that we're flying. Right? So we want to start introducing a thermal sensor on a fixed wing. And obviously that now requires obviously reducing the coasting speed and managing the height, and also taking into consideration the focal length and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to just to kind of pick your brain on how adaptable your payloads are, because it seems like it's just for multi-rotor, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's not. So we're very advanced in terms of video surveillance. So the tech itself, yeah, it can be utilized for fixed wing as well. I will get more information for you with regards to that. I think we can take it offline. It's something I'm definitely worth exploring with you guys. Whereabout are you based, Sean?
Joburg, Pretoria, but most of the clients are in Witbank. So
Okay.
yeah, the main thing I'm asking is that, you know, for example, we have to fly 100 hectares of a stockpile, right? And if you're familiar with operations, if you're gonna fly that much area, you know, with a multi-rotor, it's gonna take you at least 6-7 hours, right? With two crafts in the air, you know. So we're actually looking to see if we can have a system, a fixed wing system that can actually cover the area, you know, on a more frequent basis. You know,
It would make more sense, yeah. And then,
yeah,
I get what you're saying regarding then having a more camera that can obviously do a lot more than a standard one would on that type of an aircraft. So to get the maximum out of that flight time, it's what you're getting at. Yes, I think that, you know, it's something worth you and I exploring, and would love to have you over at our offices. We've got a nice innovation center in Woodmead in Sandton as well. So maybe pop around sometime, come have a cup of coffee, and I'll pull in a couple of our engineers, and we can brainstorm and
all right, no,
try and figure out a way forward.
Okay, no, that's perfect.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dave. I think thanks for everyone. I did send out a chat regarding that group, so I did collect the emails, and then I'll have a chat with Sean, possible advice, just find a way how we can do that. Just add everyone to that whole email list or that LinkedIn group. But thank you for everyone for joining. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, guys. And then if you have any other suggestions for follow-up webinar or follow-up conversations, I've dropped my email as well, and you can just get in touch with me, and then we can take the discussion forward. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Luke. Cheers.